The January 2024 complaint details specific events where Officer Shields witnessed misconduct, cover-ups, and inappropriate behavior by fellow officers, raising concerns about the integrity of the department and the safety of the public. Mantua Township, New Jersey. Robert Zimmerman is up for re-election in 2024. Robert Zimmerman of Mantua Township, New Jersey states, "As the current mayor of our great community and as a retired chief law enforcement executive, I have the proven leadership skills and experience to make the difficult decisions." Case number GLOL 524, filed 01/25/2024, page 25, line item 29, states close-knit group of supervisors who ran MTPD like their own illegal enterprise, protecting each and a favored few. Can you give me an overview of this document? The document outlines a verified complaint filed by Officer Krista Shields against the Township of Mantua, along with other individuals within the Mantua Township Police Department.
John Eppheimer asked, "Can you give me an overview of this document?"
Officer Shields alleges various instances of discrimination, harassment, and misconduct she experienced during her time with the department. She describes a hostile work environment created by colleagues and supervisors, including incidents of belittlement, isolation, and unequal treatment based on her gender. The complaint details specific events where Officer Shields witnessed misconduct, cover-ups, and inappropriate behavior by fellow officers, raising concerns about the integrity of the department and the safety of the public. Issues highlighted in the complaint include incidents involving Officer Butler, Officer Oldrati, and Chief Darren White, where actions such as threats, cover-ups, and mistreatment occurred. Officer Shields expresses her belief that certain officers were favored within the department, leading to a lack of transparency, accountability, and adherence to proper procedures. The document paints a picture of a department with a culture of retaliation, favoritism, and disregard for the well-being of its officers and the community it serves, as outlined by Officer Shields' detailed account of her experiences and observations within the Mantua Township Police Department.
John Eppheimer asked, "Is anyone with the name Layton in this document, and if so, can you tell me what is said in regards to the name Layton?"
Yes, there is a reference to a specific individual named Sean Layton in the document. The document mentions that in 2022, a sitting elected township councilman, Sean Layton, who is the county fire marshal, and whose brother is also a ranking police officer in the MTPD, was accused of neglecting his partner, K9 Ember, and another dog, both of which died in his care under suspicious circumstances. The document implies that there may have been a cover-up involving ranking members of the MTPD in the investigation of the deaths of the K9s under Sean Layton's care. This information sheds light on potential misconduct or negligence involving Sean Layton and the possible involvement of the MTPD in handling the situation.
John Eppheimer asked, "Is Oldrati listed in the document, and if so, what events is he involved in?"
Salvatore Oldrati, a police officer within the Mantua Township Police Department, was involved in several concerning events according to the document. Oldrati fatally wounded an unarmed civilian homeowner, Charles Sharp III, within seconds of arriving at the scene in response to a 911 call about a possible intruder. Oldrati allegedly threatened to shoot a female resident's dog during an incident, which was reported to the administration. This incident was tied to the publicized shooting of homeowner Charles Sharp III and raised concerns about Oldrati's behavior. Upon returning to duty after a period on workers' compensation, Oldrati responded to a call at a pizzeria where he drew his gun on a person claiming to have seen a weapon, although no weapon was found. Oldrati was also implicated in an incident involving Officer Butler, where Butler was found naked from the waist down in a resident's home, resulting in a confrontation and subsequent efforts to manipulate reports to cover up the incident.
John Eppheimer asked, "What does Officer Shields claim Mantua Police Chief Darren White did that she feels is wrong?"
Officer Shields claims that Mantua Police Chief Darren White played a role in covering up an incident involving Officer Butler, where Butler was caught naked from the waist down in a resident's home. White allegedly tied up the reports of the incident for months and failed to report Butler's involvement to the Gloucester County Prosecutor's Office, GCPO. This inaction by Chief White is seen as contributing to the cover-up of the incident and protecting certain officers within the department, rather than ensuring transparency, accountability, and appropriate handling of misconduct within the Mantua Police Department.
John Eppheimer asked, is Butler listed in this document? And if so, what is said about him and things he did wrong?
Yes, Officer Butler is mentioned in the document provided. Butler is implicated in various instances of misconduct and inappropriate behavior within the Mantua Township Police Department. Some of the allegations against Officer Butler include being caught naked from the waist down in a resident's home, leading to a physical confrontation and attempts to manipulate reports to cover up the incident, failing to provide backup to Officer Shields during a motor vehicle stop, reprimanding her improperly, and engaging in demeaning conduct over the radio. Discriminatory behavior and mistreatment towards Officer Shields based on her gender, including belittling and mocking her in front of other officers, making false accusations and circulating rumors about Officer Shields to undermine her reputation within the department. These actions by Officer Butler contribute to a hostile work environment, unequal treatment, and a culture of cover-ups and mistreatment within the Mantua Township Police Department.
John Eppheimer asked, does the document state who started the physical confrontation between Butler and Becker?
Yes, the document mentions that during the incident where Officer Butler was caught naked from the waist down by Brandon Becker in Becker's home, Butler initiated a physical confrontation with Becker. This led to the involvement of the police as MTPD officers responded to the scene, including Officer Salvatore Oldrati, who held Becker at gunpoint upon arrival.
John Eppheimer asked, what does Officer Shields claim Captain Grady did that she feels is wrong?
Officer Shields claims that Captain Grady did not follow proper procedures and policies in handling a citizen's complaint about an officer's demeanor. Specifically, when a female resident complained about an incident involving an MTPD officer threatening to shoot her dog, Captain Grady did not refer the complaint to Internal Affairs as required by the NJ Attorney General Guidelines on Internal Affairs. Instead, Grady ordered Officer Shields to speak with the resident directly, which was contrary to policy. This action by Grady, according to Officer Shields, was seen as an attempt to conceal the fact that Officer Oldrati was the person involved in the incident, signaling a failure to address the complaint appropriately and a deviation from established protocols for handling such matters within the department.
John Eppheimer asked, regarding the threat to shoot a dog, in this document does it speak about Oldrati and shooting a dog? And if it does, is Shields stating that Mantua Township Police created an untrue event about an officer threatening to shoot a dog to cover up a possible event with Oldrati?
Yes, in the document, there is a reference to an incident involving a threat to shoot a dog, and Officer Shields becomes involved in addressing this situation. Officer Shields states that after a female resident reported that an MTPD officer threatened to shoot her dog, she was ordered by a supervisor to speak with the resident to address the issue. Despite Officer Shields not being involved in the incident, and evidence pointing to Officer Oldrati as the individual who made the threat, there was an attempt by some within the Mantua Township Police Department to divert attention from Oldrati's involvement and to create a false narrative about another officer threatening to shoot the dog. This tactic, according to Officer Shields, was part of an effort to cover up the potential misconduct or inappropriate behavior by Officer Oldrati.
John Eppheimer asked, what evidence in this document tells us that Oldrati made the threat regarding shooting a dog, and if so, did anyone respond to that threat at the time?
In the document, Officer Shields reveals evidence that indicates Officer Oldrati made the threat regarding shooting a dog. It is mentioned that on September 14, 2021, just hours before the incident involving Officer Oldrati fatally wounding a civilian homeowner, Oldrati called out on the radio that he was about to shoot a dog. Additionally, on the recordings from that day, Oldrati's supervisor can be heard telling him not to shoot the dog, which implies that Oldrati was indeed the officer involved in the incident with the dog. Despite Oldrati making this threat and it being recorded on the radio, there is no specific mention in the provided document of anyone responding to that particular threat at the time, indicating a lack of immediate action or intervention to prevent the potential harm to the dog.
John Eppheimer wanted me to pass along to Krista Shields, the only female officer, that he thanks her from the bottom of his heart for taking this step. Yes, it took getting fired to do it, but at least you are doing it, and to me, that is what matters. A lot of good men are caught up in this, and I pray those men do what is right and stand with honor.
Mantua residents deserve a safe place to live and not a place where the police and township admin use the law as a weapon to hide the fact that they are corrupt. This video was paid for by John Eppheimer, who was a Mantua resident for 24 years. Mr. Eppheimer caught a cop doing bad things May of 2019, and Mantua PD is working to lock him up for 8 years.
John Epheimer's next hearing is August 2nd, 2024, in front of Judge Smith, and evidence supporting some of Krista Shields' claims will be presented at this Frank's motion hearing. Thanks, John W. Eppheimer, Jr.